Hey, this is Brad Bowman from Heaven's Metal magazine. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with David Bunton, lead singer of the band The Showdown. They're reforming for a metal festival this fall, the original lineup from the first two albums. So it was exciting to listen to everything that's going on in the Showdown's life and catch up on what's been happening with the band and talk a little history and get some great stories from them touring on Ozfest and other things. So enjoy.
Man, you got short hair now. You must be respectable.
Yeah, I had to do it. I've still got a little bit going on back here. I'm trying to work on my rat tail since I started jamming again. But yeah, had to cut it off.
I could never get long hair. When I got married, I had a little mullet, and it just got all stringy and gross, and so I cut off. So that's what this is compensating for the fact that I could never grow long hair. So I'm going for the manly beard.
I love it. Good luck.
Okay, do you go by Dave or David?
David.
David. Okay.
Yeah.
So David, quick introduction. My name is Brad Bowman. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, and cool. I've been a longtime fan of you guys, like since your first tour. You came here and played at the Underground.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is a venue, and that's now just a church. They don't have concerts there anymore, so a church took over that area, or took over the building. But yeah, you played there, and my son's band. He's now a worship minister at a church in Georgetown, Kentucky. But he was in a hardcore band when he was in high school, and they opened for you guys.
No way.
Yeah, at one point. It was a lot of fun. So I remember seeing you. You came in, I believe, Falling Up was on the tour. Decipher Down was playing with you guys, I believe. It was a package deal. There were like 4 or 5 bands playing, and
yeah,
you guys set up, and you had double bass drums and Jackson V guitars, and so I knew I was going to like you. So
that's awesome.
You guys hit the stage and just blew everyone else. I felt really bad for anybody following you guys. It was great, man. You just put it all out there. So yeah, I'm a longtime fan, been listening to you for a while. So what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, take me back to those early days with the Chorus of Obliteration. You guys started off as a punk band. Is that right? You started off doing punk music, and then discovered that you had talent so you could do metal? Is that how it went down?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we were a punk band. I mean, we're from Elizabeth in Tennessee. It's like really small. We all just kind of went to the same high school together, and we were in a punk band. We were all, into MXPX and the Tooth and Nail stuff, for sure. Like Dogwood, Slick Shoes, stuff like that. And then Josh, our guitar player, he's always been into metal, even when we were doing punk. So figured out I could scream, and then we started working that in. And yeah, Andrew joined our band in about 2003, and he was very metal as well, and they just kind of ran with it. So yeah, next thing you know.
God bless them, because when you guys are playing, that was early 2000s, and so there weren't a lot of bands doing that heavy of a music in Christian music, and so you guys hooked up with, am I right, is it Fitzhugh? Is that from Living Sacrifice? Produced your first album? Is that correct?
That's right.
How did you guys get hooked up with it? Was that a label thing, or did he find you, or what? How did that happen?
Yeah, it was our A&R guy, Brad Moist, that was working at Goatee and started Mono versus Stereo. He had put a compilation out, and we had one of our songs. It was in between. And we had another drummer on this record, which was more more punk, but we still had like screaming. He put us on a compilation, and then once we started doing demos, you know, a year or so later with Andrew, we got him to Brad, and then Brad had got him to Bruce, because they both were living in Nashville. So, I mean, at that point, like, we had never met Bruce or anything like that. We were just pretty much playing like local shows in Kentucky, Northeast Tennessee. Occasionally we would go to Atlanta, sometimes South Carolina, but yeah, I mean, we weren't really connected with anybody in any form of anything. So yeah, he just kind of like made that happen. And it was honestly kind of bizarre that he wanted to do it. And yeah, we were like kind of like shocked.
Well, he obviously saw something, you know, because I tell you what, that first album of yours doesn't sound like a debut album. The production on it is rock solid, you know, and I mean, the way the drums sound, the mix, everything is just you know, it's a very good sounding record. Of course, Living Sacrifices stuff has always been that way, you know. So he was able to bring that out. I again, a debut album, it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's nuts. And it's crazy because we had been playing those songs for a while and playing them live, and didn't really think that we would ever record them. Like, we just so happened to be able to go get some demos done by a friend of ours, Jeremiah Scott. He was living with Andrew, our drummer at the time, and they kind of made that happen. Those demos, those early demos, they did them all at the time. And I actually went down by myself to Nashville and then recorded them, you know, me and Andrew and Jeremiah. It was just like,
okay, so we were at demo. You went to Nashville to record the demo.
yeah, I went down. They had already done it all, and I went down by myself and recorded the vocals. Jeremiah was there, which he produced Backbreaker and chorus, and ended up playing with us.
Okay.
So he did our first demos. But yeah, it was bizarre. Like, I mean, I didn't even know if it was good or not. It was just one of those things where I had been and this is just me speaking for myself, I had personally, like, we had been playing shows for what felt like forever, tons of them. And I just didn't really think that I would ever be in a band, or that we would ever be able to record the type of music that we were playing anyways, because the technology, you just, I mean, we couldn't, I mean, it was hard at that time, it seems like, to just get an acoustic song recorded. So I don't know. But yeah, it all just kind of like, things fell into place. And from there, you know, we got hooked up with Bruce, and then, you know, Monitor Stereo did a lot for us, getting us on tours. And yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where I can't believe, especially like driving down there by myself to record those vocals. And just like, I mean, I had other stuff going on. I was doing, you know, whatever I was doing with school, and just, it wasn't really a priority, like, for me, really. But I don't know, we did that. We met with Brad, and I'll never forget, we were all sitting at a TGI Fridays, and they're talking about doing this record, and like what it meant. Like, we're gonna have to stop basically everything that we were doing, and like go on tour and like all of this stuff. And I was just thinking, like, I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, to be honest, at this point. Because I think we were like, I was at the time, I was 22. I was getting ready to graduate, try to, do a career in this. I had a lot of
We're dropping audio again, David.
whoa, this is wild. But I didn't want to, like, everybody was stoked on it. And I mean, of course I love music, and I'd always wanted to talk that beforehand. And then Bruce was involved, and then they're talking about Barry Pointer, and like, I don't know, this is like, I can say no to that. If there's no way I have to do that. Like, everything is just perfect. So yeah, I pretty much just told my mom and girlfriend at the time, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. So
How did your mom take? I know. Okay, so by the time I was 22, I was already married and had a kid on the way. So I can't imagine coming home to my wife and saying, the career that I went to school for, I'm going to go and tour with a rock band. How did your mom and girlfriend take that when you broke the news that that's what you're going to do?
I think initially, I mean, I think, people around were very supportive.
Good.
And stuff. And like, especially, just from, at that time, and still, looking back, like, I felt like that's truly where I needed to be at that time. Like, there were a lot of doors opened, a lot of things were happening, and I had completely given up on, and came to, I'm not going to do a band. And I had been booking a lot of shows, and I was just like kind of getting out of that. And, it just all came, everything I'd ever wanted just kind of came back. And I just felt like, man, this is really an opportunity for me to, like, do what I love, share what's important to me and my friends. And, I just felt like that's where I needed to be. I felt 100% like that's where God wanted me to be. And I only thought that, and then I'm going to do this tour, and then, maybe regroup, and then it just never stopped, like, ever. Like, we just went on that one tour. We went, the very first one we went was like Mortal Treason, Staple, and then we just kept getting tours. I mean, it was like a dream come true. Our first year as a band, we toured with Blindside and X-Toll, and we're just like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah. You had a little more pop sensibility in your music than a lot of the heavier bands did, and you knew how to work the crowd. It wasn't just everyone standing there playing. It was a very entertaining show, which was awesome. So yeah.
Well, I really appreciate that, and honestly, like, I think that partly of that comes from me just not being afraid to be an idiot, but also, like, I mean, I was really trying to, I loved Squad 5-0, and I was just copying their lead singer. I thought he was like the most fun, like, ever. You know what I mean? Like, he was the best, in my opinion, one of the greatest of all time. Like, I would go see Squad 5-0 like all the time. And I really dug it when they're, and I know, like, this is maybe not like a popular opinion, but when they were doing that, like, straight 80s metal, like, stuff where they were like wearing the Cinderella shirts and everything was like slowed down and it just sounded like Poison and stuff, that was awesome.
Well, okay, so that takes me to the next part in your career was Temptation Come My Way, which has a huge 80s influence on it. I mean, we can go
Yes.
through almost song by song and say, okay, there's your Dawkins song, there's your Def Leppard song, there's your Pantera song. It reminds me a lot of when Avenged Sevenfold did Hail to the King. Remember that
Yeah.
record? Yeah, and it was like every song was it was their version of a Metallica song or whatever. And I mean, I love Temptation Comes My Way. It's a great album. I still listen to that all the time. It was great. So, okay. Speaking of that album, I need to ask you about the controversy with Fanatics and Whores, that for the opening track. Some CDs had it on it, some did not. Was that a record label thing to get you guys into the Christian bookstores, or what happened with that?
Yeah, the Christian bookstores wouldn't let us have that on our record.
Which is ironic when you read the lyrics to what the song is about.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of like bummed about that a little bit, but like, I don't know. I mean, I think that we have been like following everything so closely for so long that it really didn't surprise us. Just like, hearing things that like happened to bands, and like I know the cover for the POD record was different, and Christian bookstores and just stuff like that. And that's just whatever it is. I mean, I would always like, the whole goal, especially like when we were playing punk rock, was like, how can I trick the Christian bookstores into hanging up our flyer? And they're like, because the very first time it was like, oh, this is a punk show, whatever. And they're like, no, we don't promote that kind of music here. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, you sell it here? Like, no, we don't. I'm like, yes, you do.
Right here.
like all my favorite bands, I bought their CDs here. I know for a fact you do. They're like, well, we can't. It's just against the rules, So you just make like a flyer with clouds and trees on it and say Youth Explosion, and then you got people. That's the way we did. We
got the keywords youth and explosion. Put that on everything. They'll stock it. Let me ask you. Let's do some inside baseball on Temptation Come My Way. You're going into the studio. What was your lineup at this point? Who was in the band on Temptation Come My Way?
It was all the same people from chorus. So
you, yeah. Josh, Travis, Eric, and was Andrew on drums at that point?
Andrew was on drums. Okay, yes.
Andrew was on drums. Okay. That's so those are the two. Both times I saw you with that lineup. So you're heading into the studio, and this is quite a departure from your first album. So your sophomore album, you avoided the sophomore slump by recording something totally different. What was your mindset going in, and how did those decisions come about to do this like left turn from the kind of metalcore, death metal vocal approach to what you did on Temptation Come My Way?
I mean, it kind of happened on accident. To be honest, we first, like the first way that got kind of started was we played a show in Nashville. It was a Roadrunner showcase, and we met an A&R guy. His name was Mike Gitter, and he was like wanting us to come to Roadrunner. And at the time, that was like, yeah, we didn't really know what to think about it. I mean, we didn't trust anybody at all.
That's
like the only like the only thing that we trusted was like ourselves our group, and like that we were going to jam. So, but we would, if you wanted to take us out to a Mexican restaurant, or, throw us some swag, we can do that. So like he wanted us to like do some songs and lean more into our choruses and our pop and this and that and the other. And he had the perfect producer for us to go to. And Paul Ebersold. So he did Saliva and like some other bands, and he produced Three Doors Down and Sister Hazel. We hit it off with Paul big time. We went and did 3 demos, and they were just like, it was the first time we'd ever like did anything with an actual producer, and he was just like, no, this is what we're gonna do. No, that's not happening. Like, you could just, we're gonna lean into this. Oh, we're gonna tune it down, slow it down, like doing all this stuff. And we were just like, cool, yeah, we're into it. And we heard it back, and it was just like, yeah, this is tight. Like, I'm into this. It's legitimately like what I'm into. I love Def Leppard. I love Cinderella. I love Striper. I mean, I love Firehouse. I love all of those bands. Warrant. I mean, all of those bands are awesome to me. And
I just saw Firehouse open for Winger a few weeks ago. So
that's amazing.
I'm there with you.
Yeah, I mean, people just don't like. How can you deny that jam that's like bye bye baby bye bye? I mean, monster ballads are a whole other thing. Like, that, I love all of that stuff. And I mean, I can remember when I was little, staying like in my room all day long to see After the Rain by Nelson. Like, I thought that music video was so cool. And actually, I watched it about a month ago, and it is still cool. Like, an Indian coming out of a poster and taking you to a Nelson concert. That's great. It's like, what? But no, I mean,
I'm learning a lot about you, David, and I like it all, man.
So no, I mean, like, so yeah, I mean, it was it wasn't like a sellout move. It was just like an opportunity to do something different that we were legitimately into with a real producer. And it didn't hurt. I mean, he was telling us that we were going to be, the next Bon Jovi. And I mean, who doesn't want to hear that? But yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. And we would have probably done something completely different, like with or without going to Paul, because that's just kind of how we were. Even though we probably could have done Chorus of Obliteration Part 2. Are you there?
Got you back. Okay. Sorry. Your audio dropped again. Sorry.
Yeah. What was the last thing I said?
You said we could have done Chorus of Obliteration Part 2.
Yeah, we could have done that. And it probably would have been business wise, probably would have been a better move. But it just, I don't know. We couldn't have done that. We just couldn't have done it. And we were all sold out and sold in to, doing the record with Paul. And it was a lot of fun. And it did open a lot of doors for us. And that's like, we had already, when we were on that Blindside tour, we had done those demos, or those 3 demos already. So like, we were playing a couple of those on that Blindside tour. And after that is when we went and recorded Temptation in 2006. So, I mean, we had written some of Chorus at the end of 2002. So it was pretty old to us at that point. anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It was like a total trip. I mean, when we went to do the next record, we didn't have the budget to go with Paul or to do any of that stuff. And I mean, we were just like, well, that was fun, but I guess we're just gonna have to do what we actually know what we can do on our own.
Well, on Temptation, you covered quite possibly the greatest rock and roll song ever with Carry On Wayward Son. And that I appreciate because that's such a great song. And you're frozen up again. Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's, but you know, you do have the poppier songs, you know, like Head Down, stuff like that. But Breath of the Swamp, there's nothing light about that's as heavy as you can get. That song is awesome. So yeah, whenever it hits Breath of the Swamp, it's like punch you in the face again. Oh, here comes the showdown. You know, it's you know, but it's wonderful. What I really appreciate about you guys is the technical ability of your instrumentalists. Even on your first album, Course of Obliteration, you guys are doing twin leads and all kinds of stuff. How much practice together did the guitar players, did the two guys do? Because I mean that's some hard stuff to play those twin leads like that.
I mean, we practiced like that, never like they never just got off and like practiced together. Like we just practiced as a band. We practiced like every day.
Okay.
Like as almost like we did it like a job. Even before we were gonna do a record and go on tour, just because like I don't know, that's just what we always did. Like we were like in the drum line, and we all like at the drum line you practice like hours and hours and hours of just the same thing over and over and over and over and over. So that's just like what we did.
So
I mean, I just,
yeah, you were already used to that discipline.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's awesome.
And now I wish that we had the ability to do that at this point in our lives. We don't, but hopefully all of the work that we put in before will pay off.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that. But let's go to the next album, Backbreaker. When that came out, I was disappointed at first because Temptation was such a fun album for me. But then I listened to it like 4 or 5 times, Backbreaker, and realized what you guys were doing. That is an epic record. Lyrically, it's very different. Again, talk to me about your lyrical approach. You know, Temptation Come My Way, those songs are pretty self-explanatory, what you're trying to get across. But Backbreaker, you're dealing with like mythology and all this kind of stuff. Not something you would expect a Southern metal band from Tennessee to sing about. So tell me about how that came about. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that is and was like Josh wrote the lyrics for our band.
Okay.
So he, you know, he's always been into that Greek mythology stuff. So, you know, a lot of the songs, they have like the Greek god titles and stuff, and it's more tied in. I mean, they are more personal lyrics, but kind of tied back into that, or even maybe just put a title on it. I'm not exactly sure. I know what they mean to me. But yeah, it was just one of those things where Travis had left the band, and it was just me and Josh and AJ and Eric. And yeah, it was just it was like a triumph, because I felt like, you know, we were at the time on top of our game, but it was like Travis and I had been we were in school from second grade on. So, you know, a lot of that kind of stuff that, especially from Temptation come our way, the stuff that comes through that's like 80s and like this and that and the other, like, I was like, me and him are big fans of that. and I'm a big fan. I mean, I can't play any instruments, but so I'm a big fan of them. Like, I love, like, Travis and Josh's guitar styles are very different, and it's weird because I really like the guitar solos that on Temptation, where Josh and Travis, they're like almost like talking back and forth, and like you can always tell when Travis comes in because he's like hitting these like nasty like melody type sing backy, like, I don't know, like it sounds like Striper to me. Like, but and then, you know, in Backbreaker, when it's just all Josh doing the solos, it's like this dissonant, like dreadful type style, you know, yanking the guitar strings and stuff. So, and I like both of that. So yeah, it was cool because I really enjoyed doing Backbreaker. I miss doing it, you know, with Travis because, you know, we had just had such a good relationship to music and this and that and the other. But I mean, doing Backbreaker and then touring as a 4-piece, like it was fun. I mean, I love that I loved doing that record. That was probably the funnest time I've ever had recording a record.
Oh, I can tell your vocals are on fire on that thing. On Prometheus, I love the song Prometheus. When you go burn, that just is awesome. It's like rewind. I want to hear that again. That's cool. Okay, so when you toured that, now see, I didn't see any tours post Temptation. So you toured that as a 4-piece?
Yeah, we did.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So no,
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we did that. I just think, I guess we wrote it as a 4-piece, and it was like we would be, you know, doing the practice sessions, and when it would drop out, like, you know, just bass, and then Josh would be soloing. I don't know. It felt different to us. So we're just like, yeah, we'll just go with that.
Yeah, it is a different sound. You see that a lot. Like one of my favorite bands growing up was Triumph, and you'd hear their albums and they would have 2 or 3 guitar parts going, and then you go see them live and they have to carry another guitar player along with them to keep the sound from thinning out, you know, so bad. So yeah, if you're used to 2 guitars, hearing a one guitar version of a band is very different. On the album, you can't tell. The album is just heavy as all get out. So so how long did you tour Backbreaker?
We put it out in 2008, and we did a tour on our own, and then we did the Solid State tour with like Norma Jean and Haste the Day, and pretty much after that we did AJ left after that tour, and then Yogi came in. We did a couple shows with Trivium, and then Eric left. So then it was just me and Josh and Yogi, and then we got Jeremiah back in, and we did a tour with the Chariot as a 4-piece still, and then we brought in Patrick, and we were a 5-piece, and then we did another tour as a 5-piece in the summer of like 2009, and then we started working on the next record.
Okay. Oh, before we move on to the next record, I would be remiss if I did not ask about Ozfest. Tell me some Ozfest stories.
It was awesome. Like, Yes, it, there were so many things. It was like a summer camp, um, heavy metal summer camp. It was nuts. And that's the only time that we did a tour in Europe where we were on a bus with us and Maylene were on a bus in Europe, and that was fun. But we never did a tour in the States, in a bus in that tour. And yeah, it was a lot. I mean, there were so many killer bands we were playing with. We had basically had everything we wanted for free. I mean, it was unreal. The crowds were huge. Sometimes there would be like 15,000 people. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And all the free Monster. I mean, we were sponsored by Monster. We were sponsored by Jaeger. We were sponsored by Peavey. We had like pretty much whatever it was you could be sponsored by, we were sponsored by it just because we were on Ozfest. It was awesome. And I mean, that, went away pretty quick, but it was nice.
But still, man, you got your rock star, your rock star-esque dream tour there.
Yeah, it was. It was. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And it was cool because we didn't know the rules, I guess. And it's so funny, we were talking about it. So when we toured Ozfest, we had 12 guitar cabinets on, so 6 guitar cabinets on this side, 6 guitar cabinets on the other side, 2 bass cabinets. They said the Showdown. I mean, it was like something out Spinal Tap. And we put them on these carts with like handles, and because we had to load in 2 minutes and then load out in 2 minutes.
Jeez.
And it was nuts. Well, we got there and all of the bands, I think they were kind of bummed on us because I guess we didn't get the rule that we were only not supposed to do that we were only supposed to have like 1 amp. And we were like, oh my gosh, I mean, we just, because we never want to be like weird. We just didn't know the rules. And they told us that, like, I think like the very first show, they were just like, well, yeah, I mean, if you can get it off and on, like, you can use it all. And we're just like, we've been practicing that. Like, we got them on wheels. We were straight up, we had more gear than Hatebreed. It was so dumb. But yeah, I mean, everybody was really nice to us on that tour, and like, it was cool. Like, it was weird. Just all of like, there was, the Hustler Girls, the Freak Show people, all kind of different bands from all over the place. It was a real live, like, hodgepodge. But I mean, it was cool. I mean, we made a lot of good friends, and we didn't, die from drugs and alcohol. So I mean, yeah.
Well, there's that. You're still alive, so. Well, I've gone to hundreds of concerts, and I've always noticed that the metal fans, it's like it's a community, and everyone treats everybody really cool. You go to these metal shows, and everyone's just like totally chill. Not every genre can say that, but yeah, it's great. Who did I just see? I just see my son and I went to see All That Remains. And you could just sit there and talk to anybody around you about anything, and you always have music in common, so everyone was just really chill. It's great.
Yeah.
Until the mosh pits start, that's when I back up. I'm not going to get in there. I'm too old for that crap.
I don't do that. I don't do that anymore at all. But yeah, I mean, that is the cool thing about like, more so like, but I went and saw Hell Yeah a couple of years ago, and I mean, actually went by myself, and I had so much fun. I literally, I didn't know anybody, and I had so much fun. I ended up hanging out with Hell Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And like, there was a dude in a wheelchair that like I hung out with Hell Yeah, and then like we just kicked it, and it was crazy. Like, it was just the most surreal experience. But like, yeah, I mean, it's like, and they were just like, the guy, and I'll actually put a video of it up on my YouTube. It's just like, Chad from Hell Yeah was just really pushing, take care of each other, and I appreciate that, going to metal shows and stuff like that. I think that's cool. I think that's what it's all about. That's why I got into punk rock and metal, and that's just where I fit.
Okay, so we've gone through back. Oh, another backbreaker question. I understand there was some issue with the Christian bookstores and the album cover on backbreaker. Do you guys have to put like a sticker over that album cover or something?
Yeah, they did. They put a
Arrows.
black, yes, scantily clad bodybuilder guy, Mark Dugdale. He's actually, he's awesome. Actually, I didn't realize it, but he's 100% lifting for the Lord. I don't know. I think that was like Asterisk Studios, like, Asterisk Studios, Invisible Creature, lead singer of Demon Hunter. He's the one that made the cover.
Oh, Brian Clark.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess he that guy's from up there, like in Seattle or in the Northwest or something.
Right.
But yeah, it's so cool. Like, he and Andrew wasn't playing with us at the time, but he was like, "Holy cow, you've got Mark Dugdale on your album cover. That's awesome," And yeah, they covered it up.
Yeah,
Kind of a bummer.
it was, and I remember going to, you can't buy CDs at bookstores anymore, but I remember flipping through and I saw that and I was like, what in the world? Because it's a body, it's crazy. I'm looking at the cover right now and there's no reason to cover that up. That's ridiculous. Okay, so now take me into Blood in the Gears. Now, as far as epic openers, the motorcycle idling into the drum beat, that is like the most metal thing I can think of on an album. That's incredible. I just had to throw that out there. I love Blood in the Gears. I think it's a great record. The lineup had changed drastically. Patrick had come in at that point, right? And was Yogi playing drums on that?
Yogi played drums. Yep.
Okay. So wow, that's still a great lineup. You guys always had the best musicians. So you have like half of Demon Hunter is in the Showdown on Blood in the Gears. So that's a good thing. That is a good thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So another stylistic turn. So Backbreaker was more like thrashy. I guess that's a good word for it. And Blood in the Gears is more like Pantera groove metal. Am I correct in that assumption? I mean, that's the way I would put it.
Yes.
How you would describe it?
Yeah. And the interest, absolutely. And the interesting thing about Blood in the Gears, like when we did that record, like, whereas like Backbreaker was solely Josh, 100%. When we were doing Blood in the Gears, just kind of worked out. Josh moved to Nashville. I was gonna be moved to Nashville. There was just, I think Josh and I were just exhausted at that point. And Jeremiah and Patrick wrote a million demos, like so many demos for that record. I mean, they really did grinded out, coming up with riffs and stuff. And Josh wrote a couple songs for that record. The one that he did that's like, you can tell this is Josh, is the hidden track on that record, the Woven Throne. That was a Josh thing for sure. But the way that we did this record was more Jeremiah, Patrick were doing the riffs and in the arrangement and stuff. And I think maybe Josh had a little bit to do with it, but not as much as like where Backbreaker was just like all him. And then Josh and I did the vocals. So it was like very different way of doing a record for Josh and I. Had they not written all of those demos and demoed them, and we probably wouldn't have had that record. So yeah, I gotta give props to that for sure.
Well, I mean, you guys have 4 records. That is a really good record to end your run on up to that point. Were you able to tour Blood in the Gears?
We did one tour on it. We played Cornerstone, and we did like a little, maybe like a couple week tour with Becoming the Archetype. And we had a tour set up to do a tour with Living Sacrifice. And just Josh and I decided to bow out of the tour and pretty much ultimately just stop playing at that time.
Okay. So now here's what everyone wants to know. What's going on with the Showdown now? You've announced that you've got a festival you guys are playing. You have this great website, Heavier Than Thou. I love that. That was awesome. So tell me what is going on. It's the original lineup that's playing there, and take it away, David. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, no, we are doing our best to get it back together to play Furnace Fest. And I think all of us would like to do more music. As a group, just getting in the same room, that some of the couple practices that we've had have just been incredible. Like, maybe not the best, but I mean, hanging out wise, like, man, I just didn't really realize how much I missed hanging out with my dudes. Like, it's cool. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, like, we've all got other stuff going on, and we can't do it as much as we used to. But I think that for me personally, like, I'm open to doing more records and shows here and there. I mean, I don't think that any of us really could ever commit to doing a tour like that. Just I personally, and it wouldn't be right for everybody in their own reasons. We all have got like small kids and 10 years old, and we all have jobs and stuff like that. But it's really cool to like be able to have the opportunity to get together and have a reason, to do it. It's Furnace Fest. And man, I went last year and it was incredible. I had the most fun, and never in a million years would I ever dream that like we would be asked to play. I was already planning on going. So yeah, I mean, I was like a little hesitant about doing that because I knew it would be it'd take a minute to get back in shape to do it, but I think we're going to be fine. I mean, I know we're going to have fun. I mean, we're probably not going to be able to move around like we used to. Uh, Josh had surgery today on his hip.
Dude, now I'm like Van Halen. They got hip replacements and, you know.
Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I can headbang. I mean, I think I can, but yeah, I have to go to the chiropractor. But yeah, no, I mean, it's all fun. And it's cool because, like, you know, I have gone through different emotions about the way that, you know, the last record and stuff like that, and just had a couple different perspectives on that, and just and not being like super happy with the way things turned out. But at the same time, like, I'm thankful for the record that we did when we did Blood and the Gears. I'm thankful for, you know, that time. I'm thankful for, you know, the effort that the other guys put into the record. And I couldn't really put my finger on it or whatnot, but it's just like, I think that more that we've been getting back together, there's just something about being with and making music with people that you did it with for so long, and like we did it for nothing. Like, we literally did not even have t-shirts printed until we went on our first tour for Chorus. Like, we just did it all the time for no reason other than just to do it, and never had any expectations. And to be able to be back to that point and be able to go play a show, and it's cool because Demon Hunter's playing too.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
I love Demon Hunter, man.
yeah,
We saw them, I forget which tour it was. They were touring with Becoming the Archetype, and they're energetic like you guys. And again, I felt sorry for everyone playing around them, because they just like they put on such a great show. I was like, man, I wouldn't want to follow them.
no, I mean, they're bad to the bone. I mean, they're three of the people that play in that band. I played in a band with them. They're really good. Like, and man, Yogi's such a good drummer too. I love how I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Yogi is like sick rock drummer. He played drums on a couple John Davis records, which I'm a big Super Drag fan. And I mean, people sleep on his rock drums. They really do.
Yeah, he's phenomenal there. And again, the production on the Demon Hunter records is insane.
Mm-hmm.
His snare sound alone, it sounds like small explosions when he hits that. It's incredible.
Yeah,
You know?
he's a good drummer. They're good. And I think Jeremiah, because Jeremiah played bass with us, and he's playing guitar in Demon Hunter now. But I mean, he's a phenomenal bassist, phenomenal guitarist, like producer. I still, and I've said this before on other podcasts, I don't understand why more bands do not record with him. It makes no sense. None. I mean, I don't know if my vocals would have been anywhere near what they were. I mean, on Backbreaker or any of the records. I mean, doing vocals with him was really fun. Like, no boundaries, just fun. Like,
Yeah.
Big fan. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So will you guys, if you do new music, or will you just, with Spotify and all the streaming services, you can get away with just releasing singles and not having to do an entire record? Have you thought about putting out some new music, just a song here or there?
I would like to, and I think that we all would like to. And I know that it's most it probably will, you know, happen, I would imagine. I mean, everybody is excited to get together, but I think everybody's like itching to create something different.
Okay, awesome. Yeah,
So
I would be looking forward to that with bated breath to hear some new Showdown stuff. Well, David,
well,
man, I got to get going. It's I've wasted an hour of your time. I'll let
no,
you know before this gets published. I got to edit it down, and I'm sure everyone will be anxious to hear about what's going on with the Showdown. I know my boys are. I told him, I said, hey, I got an interview with David from the Showdown, and Anthony was like, see if he remembers us. I was like, dude, I don't think they will, but you guys played at the Underground on St. Patrick's Day, and his band wore green bowler hats, and they're out there playing hardcore music with green bowler hats on.
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
you were kicked back. They have a song called they had a song called "A Snake in My Boot," and it starts off with this really nasty Southern rock riff to it. And you were like backstage looking down at your phone or something, and that riff came on, and you looked up, shook your head, yeah, and then went back down and looked at your phone. I remember incredible. That to this day. It was great.
That's incredible.
Okay, oh, David, it's great talking to you, dude.
Before we go, I do want to tell you one thing.
Yeah.
I did just record something for the very first time. I did a part on a song with Nate from Cutlass. He has a punk thing.
Yeah.
And he just released his record. I got to do vocals on his record, and it was so much fun. His record is awesome. It just came out. It's like Social Distortion. It's awesome, and it's great message. I love it. And yeah, other than that, that's it. What's up, Nate? I love it.
So what's the name? I'm on Spotify. Is it streaming?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's Nate Parrish, and the album is called Soul Surgery.
Nate Parrish.
Yeah, he plays guitar and Cutlass.
Soul Surgery. Yeah, right there it is. And which song are you on?
God Knows.
God Knows. There it is. David Bunton. Got it, man. It's I got it marked. I'll
love it.
I'll have to listen to that. That's great.
That's cool. Yeah, heck yeah. That dude is he is so much. I want to do more music with him, like, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate it, man. And if you ever get tired of logging on to heavierthanthou.com, you can always log into jamforthelamb.com.
Jam for the Lamb. Is that yours?
Or thrash24777.com.
Okay.
Or getsnakebit.com. Or highvoltageheavymetal.com.
Got them covered.
Yeah, they all go to the same place.
Okay.
Heavierthan.com.
I love Heavier Than Thou, man. You got to get t-shirts printed, because that is awesome.
We got some.
Okay, good.
But all right, man. Dude, have a good night.
Hey, it was great talking to you, David.
Hey, thanks, man. It's good talking to you.
Hey, we'll talk to you later.
All right, see you.
Okay, bye.